Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, coming at you with game number 2 of the semifinal between Julyzerg and XellOs from the 2005 Ever OSL. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully looking forward to another exciting game here of StarCraft. Game 1 was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome indeed. XellOs in a bit of an upset, taking out Julyzerg in the first game. I shouldn't say taking out because he beat him, but he hasn't taken him out yet. This is a best of 5, and so game number 2. Game number 2. This is pretty important because I mean every game is important, I guess. But you know, like if Julyzerg loses this game now from this position, it's so difficult mentally and statistically to come back and win 3 games in a row, you know? It's so difficult. Once you have the momentum going against you, it's difficult. And just like, even if you're better than your opponent, the chance of them winning at least one of the next 3 games is just really tough. So Julyzerg kind of needs to get this game to kind of at least even things back up again. XellOs would love, however, to take this game and really lock himself into the momentum towards getting into the finals. This is the semifinal, so whoever wins this game, the series rather, is locking in a seed to the next Star League. They're locking in a medal. You know, you get first, second, and third get medals. You never really hear about the 4th place finisher on anything, do you, though? Right? So you're locking in that accomplishment on your record, and you're locking in like an extra $5,000 or $10,000. I don't know exactly what the prize pool is, but it's a big deal. To win this series, you're like, okay, my pay just went up by $5,000 for this season. You know, it's a pretty big deal. Although, you know, I never get, and maybe they do, but I never get the impression that, like, pro gamers are really in it for the money. I don't think any pro gamers back then really got into it for the money. You don't spend years as a B-teamer and practice partner and working your way up and perfecting your craft for basically nothing. Basically, you get no compensation, almost no compensation, until you make it big. You don't do that unless it's something that you're passionate about, that you really want. For the most part. Anyway, XellOs doing a good job of harassing here. We did see the drone go in and scout and try to harass the SCV of XellOs, but XellOs had nothing of it. And now we got some Marines coming in here actually to help with this harassment. And Julyzerg is in a bit of trouble here. He's not given up yet, and actually he has Zerglings out now as well. So this is interesting that, oh, he actually picks off the SCV and plants the hatchery. Gets the hatchery down before the SCV even dies. Anyway, we've got a few Marines on the map here for XellOs. They're in a little bit of danger against these Zerglings. Just a little bit. But he's going to go ahead and retreat back to his ramp so he can be nice and safe. I think, you know, those 4 or 5 Marines against those 4 Zerglings are fine. But he doesn't, you never know if, and there we go. We're seeing Julyzerg has made 6 additional Zerglings for at least 10 total. And that is Julyzerg style. He is a very aggressive player. And somehow he likes to just make units, you know? Make attack units. And somehow he manages to make attack units, a lot of them. Even when he doesn't have an economy. It's amazing. I don't know how he does it. But he's just really good. And, anyway, so, I mean, Julyzerg, he probably just, you know, has a very extreme, in-depth grasp of, like, exactly how many drones you need in order to support production of a certain kind of unit off a certain number of hatcheries, you know? And he'll get to that, he'll probably get to those breaking points and know, okay, now that I've got my nth drone, I can start pumping out units and, you know, whatever the situation is. So he's probably very efficient, knows the game very well in that sense. I would imagine. You know, I've seen in 2020, I've seen high-level streamers talk about that. Talk about, you know, getting to certain drone counts to have an exact saturation that works well for certain builds and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that I don't know the details of, but I'm sure Julyzerg does. Anyway, Julyzerg has gone back into making drones, though. He's droning up. He made, you know, probably about 10 or 12 Zerglings to start off with. And now he's just kind of keeping outside the Terran base to scout, see when XellOs is going to be moving out. And he does, in fact, see that XellOs is moving out right now. He's like, okay, time to hit that panic button and start building those creep colonies. Try to start making Sunkens. It looks like they're barely going to be up in time. Or actually, is he going to hit? Because the stim timing is important here, because these colonies are not going to be sunk quite in time unless he has to wait around for like a few seconds for stim to finish. And he's actually going around the back to mine out the minerals, and that might actually buy Julyzerg enough time. The Sunken gets up just in time, but no, it's actually just a moment too late. It's not just in time. It can't kill the SCV, and that back door has been opened up. It's a little bit of an awkward spot, though, because even though there's a back door, like, it's actually kind of a worse angle to attack into, because he has to try and squeeze all of his units through the gap next to the minerals before he can actually go after the sunks. So, actually, I'm not going to say it's a bad angle for him to attack. I'm going to say Julyzerg built his buildings in an excellent formation to defend against exactly that. And they're still lined up in a line to face off against a direct attack from the upper right side of his base as well. So beautifully done by Julyzerg. Well-placed buildings, and doesn't quite get it up enough, quick enough to kill the SC before it mined those back minerals out, but still is able to kind of push that back and not have to worry too much about it at the moment. You can see Julyzerg went to see if he could poke in for a counterattack, but the Firebat says, no way, Julyzerg. And now these Zerglings are kind of running around for their lives. They're trapped between groups of Marines and kind of running around, but this is good for Julyzerg. It's buying him time to get more drones out, get his economy going, and actually getting a lurker egg down there. We saw the Hydrostin earlier, but I didn't really have a chance to cover. Oh my gosh, Zerglings rushing into the main here. The Firebats are just a moment too late to get onto that ramp, so a few Zerglings are going to survive. They're going to be able to do some significant harassment here. Taking out the SCV building, the command center, is kind of a big deal. It's going to delay that expansion by several seconds. The Firebats mean that these Zerglings aren't going to do any major damage, though. The Firebats can just kind of chase the Zerglings around and they won't be able to do anything. But, anyway, Julyzerg now with lurkers on the map. God of Fight. Yes. Kind of an interesting translation there. Tushin is the nickname of Julyzerg, which I believe is a Chinese God of War, if I'm not mistaken. Something along those lines. I can look that up on the side, I guess, while I'm watching the game with one eyeball. And anyway, point being, there was a Julyzerg fan. And it looks like there's no really easy Google answer, so I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about it. Except apparently there's like baby name websites have Tushin as like, so maybe it's not just a, okay, actually apparently it's a Chinese, or not a Chinese, a Spanish name also. Anyway, I'm not gonna spend too much time looking at it, but that's just kind of interesting. Anyway, I find this really fascinating that we've seen this multiple times from Julyzerg and from Go Rush, that this seems to be like the 2005 meta is lurkers into Spire. It's really interesting because a few years later in 2008-9, it's the reverse. It's the meta is Spire into lurkers. You use the Mutalisks to buy yourself time to get tech, get your extra bases, and get the lurkers up for the mid game. Whereas it seems like the lurker rush is the way, okay, I gotta get lurkers now that I have lurkers. Now that lurkers can hold off these Marines enough so I can get my real stuff going and get these Mutalisks. I wonder if, though, I mean, we've also, I guess, seen some Zergs, I think, I don't know, am I remembering correctly that some Zergs don't actually go for the Mutalisks? They actually just go for, what is this going, is this a lurker drop? This is a little wee lurker drop, isn't it? Nope, it's a little wee scouting overlord. Alright, never mind. I thought I was going to do a lurker drop and just plant down a couple lurkers in the main, which would have been annoying but not accomplish much, so, but interesting that, it's a good move to sack the Overlord, but it's kind of interesting as well. He didn't really get much out of it, I don't think. Queen's Nest. Queen's Nest going down. The fast hive off of 2 to 3 bases is also an interesting aspect that we're seeing for this meta from 2005. You know, I don't think you'd ever. Very rarely would you see a hive off of 2 bases in the you know, modern era, but here you see it sometimes. Now, of course, we do see he is getting a 3rd base, but it just feels like a quicker hive than usual. I think. Usual for what I'm used to, I guess. Anyway, but again, this does seem to be kind of normal for 2005, so it's really interesting to see that. I really like this by XellOs. 3 bunkers, a tank, some turrets there. You know, the worry for a counterattack. Oh, what's going on? Okay, VOD's back. I don't know why this keeps happening on these old VODs. I actually don't know if it's... I don't know what's going on with these old VODs that they keep skipping out like that. I don't know if it's the VODs themselves or if it's my internet connection or something, but it looks like it's the VODs. Otherwise, if it was my connection, it wouldn't, like, bug out the pixels like that. Anyway, apologies for that. We're going to do the best we can with these old videos that we have, though. These pixels are 16 years old. They've been degrading, sitting around rotting for years. It's a miracle we can read them. Look at that Marine stimming to try and run away from the Zergling. I gave him a run for his money, but eventually died. Anyway, XellOs with the static defense, it is natural. I like it. I like it. He's going to want to move out at some point, and when he does move out, he's going to need those bunkers and stuff to back up for, to be a backup. But also, it's Julyzerg. Julyzerg is super liable to just run in with a bunch of lurkers and lings and just break your mate. Break your face. You know, we've seen that in some ZVTs recently, actually, where the Zerg just, you know what? Pull the trigger, overrun the front. In fact, I guess actually that happened in the first game, except XellOs was able to hold it off and come back. But I just casted the first game not that long ago, and for some reason I'm having trouble remembering the details of it, so apologies for not remembering that. But oh man, I've probably watched, I want to say, at least thousands of StarCraft games. I mean, it's at least thousands. I'm pretty sure I've casted it thousands at least. Of StarCraft. Well, I know I've casted thousands of games if you include StarCraft 2. But I wonder if it. What I'm wondering is, like, could it be over 10,000 games that I've watched in my life? Not casted, but watched. Anyway, point being, sometimes they run together a little bit over the years. Also, especially since I did watch most of those games 10 years ago, and then I basically didn't watch any StarCraft games for 6 or 7 years. So this is what I'm talking about. Look at that. Oh my, Zergling, that is 3 or 4 dozen Zerglings. I think it's over a dozen lurkers. So Julyzerg is just making a bunch of units. How does he do it? It's amazing. And he's also teching at the same time. He's got the Defiler mound up now as well. Unsure if Consume is finished yet. I think it's probably a little bit of ways away, but if not, it's going to be finished very soon as well. And by the way, Wraiths. By the way, 3 starport Wraiths. By the way, what? Okay. Interesting. Interesting. This could work. This could work. I'm really curious if this is a plan. If his plan was like, okay, I'm gonna go 2 bases into mass Wraiths because depending on what he, I mean, maybe it probably depends on what tech he has, but like, look at that Marine over here just getting free kills on drones, and the drones are like, we are not free. We are slaves. Wait, no, it's the other way around. We are not slaves. We are free. We are... Wait, no. You can't kill us. We will kill you back, is what the drones say. Anyway, those Scourge... also, well, they say you can kill us and we will kill you back, I guess. But there's now several Wraiths in play. He kills a couple of them with those Scourge that were kind of hanging around in case of dropships, in case of science vessels. But now, the Scourge are dead, and these Wraiths are just gonna pile on the kills. They're just getting, just racking up their kill count. just getting that KDA up for their stats, for their profile page, I guess. I don't know. Just picking off these Zerglings is nice, but it doesn't matter. There's the Dark Swarms. Oh, huge mine taking out tons of Zerglings. But Julyzerg just has too much stuff. There's Dark Swarm all over all of the defenses. Usually bunkers are a great defense against lurkers and lings, but not when the swarm is all on top of them and everything gets slaughtered in the middle of the natural expansion. He's trying to defend his choke point to the north towards the third base that he's trying to create, but another Dark Swarm goes down. Oh my goodness, so many Dark Swarms in sequence, in perfect order, in perfect placement. And Julyzerg chases XellOs out of his own base. Julyzerg has planted the Zerg flag down in the middle of the natural expansion and said, you have to go someplace else. And XellOs is going someplace else. He's marching that army through the open middle of the map where it's much easier to dodge lurkers and swarms. And oh, the Wraiths are gonna get slaughtered. Oh, beautiful splitting by the Scourge. And he didn't react. He was targeting down onto the lurkers there. Didn't have a chance to turn and try and free fire back onto the Scourge. All of the Wraiths go down. It was an interesting gambit for a moment. They got a couple dozen lings, honestly. So it might be slightly worth it, but probably not entirely worth it. I guess they killed some Scourge too in that sense, so maybe an even trade, but I don't know. I still not the best investment there. Anyway, there's Ultralisks out now as well. Now XellOs has taken that army and he's gone up to the side base at the north to try and take that out. I don't know if he knows that there's another base to the north. If he can go and pick that off as well before he gets overrun by these Ultralisks and what have you, it may be worth his time to go up here. But right now, XellOs is in dire straits. Looks like he's going to maybe get a couple drones, but no. The Marines are stimming away again and are going to enable their own deaths by decreasing their hit points with the stim. The Zerglings get to polish them off. There's like so many defilers just walking around the map right now. Look at the minimap, ladies and gentlemen. Red spewing all over the place as if XellOs' artery has been severed and it's squirting all over the minimap. It's a little bit gruesome, apologies for that. But point being, Julyzerg has control of the map. XellOs is stuck in his base. It looks like he's cleared up his natural and he's actually still trying to take a third, but that's not long for this world. There comes the Ultralisks and the Zerglings, and he can't even wait for that to finish. Yeah, if he waits for yeah, you have to cancel the comsat to lift, and I don't know if he was even paying attention to that particular building at that moment, but he just gave it up. So vessels are, oh my god, look at that. This is the power of the Zerg. Look at that swarm. Tons and tons of Zerglings, lurkers, Ultralisks. The Defilers are not even here, but they don't have to be. There's just so much stuff, it doesn't even matter. The mines are at the top of the ramp. Are going to do significant damage to the Ultralisks, but it just does not matter at this point. SCV is going down the ramp to try and, I don't know what they're doing. It's kind of a suicide GG. It's a little manner, you know, I'm going to rack up your kills a little bit by donating my SCVs to those lurkers before I exit the game, you know. A little bit fun to do. So Julyzerg ties this series back up at 1-1, and now we're going to proceed with a best of 3. I mean, it's part of a best of 5. You know, essentially it's kind of a best of 3 remaining to finish out the series and see who's going to go to the finals. Julyzerg looking to get back into the finals for a second time in a row, looking to get himself a shot at winning the championship that he could not win last season, that he's been struggling to get back on top for a few seasons now since he was on top last year. XellOs hasn't been on top in a few years either. Both of them want this so badly to get to the finals and have a shot at another gold. But they'll have to defeat someone else first, of course. They're going to have to defeat either Good Friend or Go Rush as well. But they have to get through each other first. Let's move on to game number 3 of the semifinals coming to you guys very soon. Thank you for watching. GG.